to part 2 of how a bill becomes a law. All right, so when we left off, the bill had passed the committee, and that's in either the House or the Senate, and it gets sent to the floor where it gets debated and voted upon. Now, the House of Representatives has a Rules Committee. And this is a very powerful committee because they pretty much determine if this bill is going to pass or not. And the Rules Committee is made up of members of both parties, but the majority party has a 2/3 advantage. So the minority party, which in this case is the Democrats, has very little influence on the Rules Committee compared to the House. All right. So the House is going to decide a couple things. All right, sorry, that went a little too quickly there. I gotta go back up one. Sorry. All right. So the House is first going to determine if the bill will have an open rule or a closed rule. An open rule says the bill can be amended on the floor by members. This helps the minority party out because the minority party might not be able to make any changes in a committee, but when the bill hits the floor, the minority party can make some changes and shape the legislation the way they see fit. Closed rule means there will be no amendments on the floor and you have to vote on the bill as is. All right, that's pretty popular when you're in the majority party because you don't want the minority party to shape the look of your bill. They will also decide the debate time, when the bill will take place or when the vote will take place, and how long there will be debate will go on for. So you might have a debate for a half hour, you might have 3 hours. It's kind of determined by the Rules Committee. All right, a bill that's controversial, you might want more debate time. When you want to get it passed quickly, just go rather fast. Right? After it clears the Rules Committee in the House, it goes to the floor, and the Speaker and Majority Leader make the decision what reaches the floor and when. So that's why those leadership positions are important. In the Senate, it's your Majority Leader. In the House, it's your Speaker. All right. Now, the House, they'll have debate on the floor. All right. The Rules Committee will always limit the debate. The House does not have unlimited debate. Okay. It might be 2 hours. It might be 6 hours. It's up to the Rules Committee to determine that. All right. And then after debate is closed, they will vote on it. Passes the House, it moves on to the Senate. All right. Now, the House also has something called the motion to suspend the rules. You'll see this on C-SPAN a lot. And this is something that's decided by members in the House. And if they decide to do that, all right, the bill will go right to the floor for a vote. It's kind of done to get it done quickly. No amendments can be made. The debate is limited to 40 minutes, but you need a 2/3 majority to pass that. Okay, so that's the trade-off, is we get it done quick, but we need a 2/3 majority to get that done. You'll see a daily show on that Wednesday that kind of illustrates how horrible that process can be. All right, in the Senate, no Rules Committee, so your Majority Leader makes the decision of what's going to go to the floor and when. He has pretty much all power in the Senate. As long as the members are in agreement of the rules, he decides when they'll be debating and talking about a bill. So one of the criticisms I hear you read right now is a lot of the House bills are going to the Senate and they're not even getting a vote. All right. Now you might recognize the scene here from Mr. Smith Goes to Washington and Jimmy Stewart here doing what's called a filibuster. All right. Friday we will have a lengthy discussion on a filibuster, which is a tradition that goes back into the 1800s. When you filibuster a bill in the Senate, you are having unlimited debate. The Senate does not have the debate rules because they're a smaller, older organization, so they kind of don't want to limit how long anybody speaks. So when you filibuster, you are literally talking a bill to death. You are going to talk and talk and talk to prevent a vote from ever taking place on that bill. Okay? And there's been some famous ones throughout history. All right? As long as you are on the floor and you are talking, no vote can take place. So you do that to prevent the vote from taking place. Huey Long, during the New Deal, read oyster recipes for his filibuster. There was a senator from North Carolina who read the phone book to filibuster a bill. Their rules actually say you have to talk about the bill for a half hour, and then after that you can talk about whatever you want. Strom Thurmond, you might remember he ran for president for the Dixiecrats in 1948. He filibustered a bill in the Senate for 24 hours to prevent a civil rights bill from passing. Now, you rarely see that anymore because it is kind of ridiculous to see a guy talking there reading oyster recipes trying to prevent a bill from taking place. So what they do now is they do what's called a hold. When a senator puts a hold on a bill, he is requesting more information, saying, I don't want a vote to take place until I can find more information. And no vote can take place until he lifts that hold. That's called a lazy man's filibuster, because you don't have to talk. You just say, let's not vote on this today, and no vote will take place. And then we mentioned in class a unanimous consent agreement. That is where all 100 senators have to agree on the rules before they can proceed with a debate. So sometimes a senator will say, I don't like the rules. In reality, he just doesn't want it to take place. He doesn't want a filibuster. He doesn't want to request a hold. He just says, I object to the rules, and the Senate cannot do business. They have that much respect for each other that all members must agree on rules before they move forward. Now, you can end a filibuster and a hold by something called cloture, and that is where you move to limit the debate. And if 60 senators vote to end debate, then they will end the debate within 30 hours, and then a vote will take place on the floor. So essentially, the way the Senate works now is you need 60 votes for a bill to pass, not 51, not a majority, but 60. Because if there's 60 votes, there is no filibuster, and you can stop somebody from talking anytime you want, as long as you keep your party in line. So you'll see people talk in the Senate about a filibuster-proof majority. It means you control 60 seats in the Senate. All right, now, once the bill has cleared the House or Senate, it's voted on. The House and Senate have to pass the bill in identical form, all right, or the bill is dead. If they pass the same bill, then it goes to the president for his signature. If the House and Senate pass different versions, all right, this happened a few years ago on a tax bill. They were going to give a tax cut to anybody making under $106,000. That passed the House. The Senate wanted that to include people over $106,000. Remember, the Senate's there to represent the minority. Minority of people make over $106,000. So their version said tax cut goes to everybody, not just people under $106,000. It had two different versions. Went to the conference committee. They negotiated out a deal. Everybody ended up getting the tax break on that one. That was back in about 2007 was that bill. All right, so that's the role of a conference committee. They negotiate the differences, all right, and then send it back to both houses in identical form. There's no debates. There's no committee work. It just goes back to the House and Senate for a vote. And usually the conference committee will have strong enough members that they can go back to the House and say, hey, let's vote for this bill. All right. Now, finally, bring it close to this little long lecture here. After the House and Senate approve the identical version, sorry for the noise there, it goes to the president. All right. 4 things can happen if the president gets the bill. Number 1, he signs it. It becomes law. Game on. Usually there's a big ceremony. The president will sign it with a bunch of different pens, give them out to different congressmen. It's kind of a big deal for a bill to pass. I won't say what Joe Biden said about the health care bill, but it is a pretty big blanket deal. Or if he waits 10 days and Congress is in session, the bill automatically becomes the law. So if a president's busy, maybe he doesn't want to sign it, but he knows it's going to pass anyways, he just lets it go, and then after 10 days, it's automatically the law. He can veto the bill, which means he signs it and says no, or puts a signature on it and says, I veto the bill. But if 2/3 of both houses wish to override the veto, that will take place. Now, that rarely happens because if a bill passes 400 to 35 in the House and 90 to 10 in the Senate, you pretty much know it's going to be overridden if you veto it. So a president will either wait 10 days and just let it become law, or he'll sign it. If a bill passes 51 to 49 and 218 to 217, and he vetoes it, he knows it's going to happen. So, and it will be upheld. And most of the time there, the House or Senate will just not even pass it because they don't want to have the embarrassment of a president overriding their veto. And then you might remember from your middle school days the old pocket veto, where the president does not sign the bill and Congress's term expires within 10 days of the bill's passage. And that happens every 2 years. periodically. So if Congress is going home on December 15th and they pass a bill on the 13th, president doesn't sign it, it's considered a pocket veto. I think Obama has 2 pocket vetoes on his resume so far. George Bush had about 8 or 9, not very many. All right, so this closes how a bill becomes a law. If you get a chance, go back and look at that initial free response and see if you could answer that question of how a bill can pass one house but not the other. All right, and there's a lot more to this. It can be pretty complicated, but this is pretty much the down and dirty of what you're going to need to know. All right, good luck, and we'll see you in class on Friday. Thank you.